Welcome to Food by Mark. I'm Mark and this is my food. Today I'm going to be making one of my favorite dishes to make because it's quick, it's simple, it's easy. I roast a whole chicken and underneath that I have vegetables. I have some potatoes, carrot, onion, and a little bit of garlic. It's great, the juices drip down from the chicken, all those veggies get cooked in it, and there's nothing better than making veggies unhealthy. To start, we gotta get our veggies going. Just gonna peel the onion real quick. Just get off some of the original outside fuzz. Chop it right down the middle. What's great about this meal is that you kind of just pop it in the oven and you're good to go from there. With it being finals week and me being a college student, I have a lot on my plate right now, but I still love cooking and I still love eating delicious, healthy food. So I got my onions peeled, ready to go. All I'm doing right here is I'm cutting them into eighths, but I'm leaving the root end of it on, the very bottom of the onion. That way they stay together for whenever I put them in the oven. They're not gonna fall apart and just break apart. I'm gonna have these really nice pieces of onion that are just delicious. You get a large sheet tray. You can use the shallow one. I've used shallow ones in the past, they work great. But I really like the high-walled one because I just feel like I won't somehow accidentally spill everything I'm cooking out of it. I'm just gonna set these around the tray. Just evenly spaced out. Next on the agenda is garlic. There's nothing better than some roasted garlic, and I will live by that. I'm just gonna get off 5 or 6 cloves from this head. Get as much of that garlic paper off as I can, that way it doesn't burn in the oven. Speaking of the oven, you should have it preheated to 350 by now. Because what we're doing now, it doesn't take long and it gives the oven plenty of time to just get up to temp. So I didn't remove all of the garlic paper on the clove, just enough to where there's not a bunch of loose stuff that's gonna burn. So I got 5 or 6 cloves of garlic on there. All right, now it's time to get some potatoes going. I'm just gonna cut them in half diagonally, gives them an interesting shape, and nice big chunks of potatoes. I'll probably use 4 potatoes and just scatter them on that same sheet tray. All right, now we got some carrots to peel. So the way I like to cut my carrots is a little unorthodox. I haven't seen anyone else do it, but I come through and I cut at an angle, just like that. And then I twist it 90 degrees and I cut again. That way I end up with this weird shape, instead of someone just coming through and just giving you little carrot circles. Why not keep things a little interesting? and have some fun shapes on the plate. Scatter some of those in there. I also got some baby portabella mushrooms. These I'm gonna use for the sauce, but while I have the cutting board clean, I don't have any chicken on it yet. I'm gonna get them ready for the sauce. The stem, I find it to be very woody. A lot of people do, so I like to just kind of pull it off, set it to the side, and where it ultimately ends up is in a bag for vegetable stock. Just started this bag, and I really recommend making your own stock at home, whether it be from the bones of whatever protein you're eating or just vegetable scraps. I mean, you paid for it, might as well use it. And I also made my own chicken stock, and the bones from tonight's meal, the whole chicken, they're gonna end up in my chicken stock bag. But got all of our mushrooms cleaned up, ready to go. I'm just gonna slice them real thin. I'd say about eighth inch is what I'm doing here. What I'm thinking for the sauce is to take some of my chicken stock and this mushroom, mix it with a little heavy cream, some butter. I got some rosemary and fresh thyme that I'm also going to season the chicken with, and put that together for a sauce. I do have some leftover mushrooms. Might as well just throw them in. They'll cook all the same. I am going to recommend you put them cap side up. That way they don't completely lose all of their moisture and they have a little bit of life left in them, because they are going to be in the oven at 350 degrees for probably 40 to 50 minutes, depending on how the chicken behaves. So we got all of our veggies cooked. I'm just going to give my cutting board a quick rinse. And now it's time for the chicken. A lot of people believe that you need to wash chicken in the sink. I don't really follow that methodology, because if you think about it, you're spraying water on a raw chicken. Who knows if it has bacteria? It either does or it doesn't. Chances are high that it does. And all that water that sprays on it is then going to splash in your sink, on your countertop, and then you just took the bacteria from the chicken all over your counter. So why not just let the temperature do its thing and kill it? No sense in dirtying up your entire kitchen to let heat do it later down the road. Well, not dirty up your kitchen, but disinfect your meat. So this is a little 3-pound bird. I love cooking small chickens. I feel that they cook a lot better, a lot more evenly, and maybe I'm just superstitious, but they also have a lot more flavor. All I'm gonna do is take some paper towels, pat dry the skin, Then take the last few paper towels, and inside of the cavity of the chicken, we have our breast here, spine on the back. So backside down, if you look inside the cavity, you're gonna find this weird tissue. It doesn't taste good, so I like to remove it. I mean, do you really want to be eating that? It really produces an off flavor, and the juices get very cloudy and pink if you leave it in there. So it's best to just take it out and have a really good tasting bird. Do have a little bit of too much fat here. Definitely gonna save that and render that down so I can have some more chicken fat to cook with. I'm just gonna clean up that cavity. You can really feel it once you have a chicken in front of you. You just kind of put your fingers in. It's right in here. Now that I've cleaned it up, you can kind of see the pits in there a little bit better, right there, either side of the spine. That is good to go. All right, I'm gonna wash my hands and we'll be right back. All right, hands are all clean now. Something I like to do whenever I'm seasoning chicken is just throw a glove on. It makes it a whole lot easier and faster. Because first gonna hit it with a little extra virgin olive oil. That way my salt, pepper have something to stick to. Just get it nice and oiled up. Then, that's all I have to do. First gonna hit it with a little pepper. I'm gonna slightly heavily salt it. You don't want to go overkill, just kind of go feels right. Because you have to think about it, you're trying to permeate the skin as well as the meat with this salt. So there's a lot this salt has to go through. Come through, get a little extra pepper going in the cap. Pat that in, flip my bird, hit her with a little pepper. I did that perfect first try. Now some more salt. All right. That sucker is ready for some herbs now. So I've already done a little bit of my rosemary. The way I peel it is I just take the stem and I just run it back like that. It just comes right off. You don't want to eat the stem, it's wood. And then at the end, I kind of just come through, get it off, and it's all gone. It's really easy to do. You can do this recipe with dry rosemary and dry thyme. It'll turn out just the same. Won't have the same aromatics that you get from the fresh, but you'll still get the flavor. It'll still be there. It'll still taste good. Got my rosemary done. And now thyme is a little finicky. You need to have some thyme before you start plucking some thyme, because it has all these weird little offshoots on it. So you can't just run it down. This one you can. You just kind of pinch it real gently. And you run it down. And you get your thyme off the stem. And the last little bit, I kind of just pinch off. Trying to keep as much of the stem out of there as possible. Because it just, who wants to eat wood? I know it's not exactly wood, but it's pretty fibrous. See right there, that snuck past me. I'll get this all picked and I'll be right back. All right, didn't really matter. I did clean my knife. I like to keep my tools clean. I am gonna chop that parsley and the rosemary that I just plucked on the same cutting board. You can do a separate one, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, it's gonna get put on the same raw chicken that's on the cutting board. So I'm just gonna move that off to the side. I'd say that's fine. Now we're just gonna hit some of this, and just like we did with the salt and the pepper, we're gonna pat it down. We have the olive oil on there for a reason. It's gonna help bind things. So patting it down is gonna help all of this yumminess stick. And with it being in the oven, this is ultimately gonna kind of dry out a little, crisp up, stick to the skin, provide a lot of flavor. I missed a wing. Whoops. All right. So I'd say that is nicely herbed up. A little bit more on the breast. All right. I'm gonna throw this on a little wire rack, put it on that sheet tray right there, and we'll be back to put it in the oven. Sorry about another weird cut. I know they're popping up everywhere. It's only my first time. Maybe I'll get the almost had to do another cut. Maybe I'll get the hang of it soon. But I just wanted to set the cutting board in the sink, wash my hands after touching the chicken. That way I could show it to you really well. So the chicken is just cradled up there, all natural. I'm gonna hit it in the oven, probably 25 minutes on this side. All of this skin right up here will just crisp up and get really good. And then I'm gonna flip it over. I'll show you whenever I do that. And then I'm gonna brown all the skin where the thighs are. That way there's not a speck of meat on here that isn't gorgeous, beautiful, crispy, crunchy skin. So let's pop this bad boy in the oven. All right. So behind me in this medium nonstick pan, I have a tablespoon of butter, give or take. Now I'm gonna take this garlic and mince it up to throw into the hot oil. Easiest way to do it is to take your cloves with garlic, come through and crush it. And then once it's all crushed, just come through and you chop. And you want to get it pretty finely chopped. I am going to leave a few good chunks in there because it is always good whenever you end up with some nice chunks of garlic in any sauce. And once that's nice and chopped up, I'm going to throw it in this melted butter. Last little bit in there. Just let that do its thing. The next thing that I'm going to prepare is the butter for the sauce. I'm going to do a garlic, mushroom, herb, small amount of cream sauce. Not really an exact recipe for it. I'm just going to wing it. It'll taste good. So, to emulsify that butter and the sauce, the easiest thing to do is going to be to take that 2 tablespoons and cube it up a little. Whenever it comes time to emulsify it, I'm just going to take 1 or 2 and just throw them in there as I stir it. Butter's ready. We cut the mushrooms earlier. Got a little heavy whipping cream. And now, just give these a little stir. You're starting to get a little golden brown color to them. That butter's just frothing up. So now I'm going to hit my mushrooms in there. These will release a lot of moisture. And you're going to end up having some flavor leach out. That garlic's going to stop cooking as fast. It's not going to end up burning. It's just going to get cooked. over here running out of words to say. Now, this is some of my homemade chicken stock. Keep it in little ice cubes. This is super concentrated. I'd say 2 of these is about a quart of store-bought, no, sorry, not 2, 6. I'd say 6 of these, maybe 8 is about a quart of store-bought chicken stock, whatever brand you prefer. So I'm gonna take 2 and pop them in there. And that is some yummy stuff. Oh, missed the mushroom. Let that do its thing. And all we have left to do, let the mushrooms cook in that stock. We're gonna hit it with some cream and then emulsify that butter in. And I'll be right back whenever it gets to that point. So for this sauce, I want a little herb flavor. So I have that same fresh rosemary and thyme, and I'm gonna make what's known as a Bouquet Garni. It's pretty much just some fresh herbs bundled up, tied with some string. I have some kitchen twine here that I'm using. I'm just gonna tie that up real good, double knot it, cut off the excess, take it and toss it in, and just let that get in there. Now it's time for a little bit of cream. This part is totally optional, but I am going to add a little bit of white wine in there as well. And once that starts picking up a little bit, then I'm going to take this butter and emulsify that in there. That is looking really silky. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat down. Hit it with a little bit of salt. Just let everything in there. Cook a little more, keep it warm, reduce out some more of that moisture while our chicken's cooking. And last but not least, pop that back in there, kind of cover it up. And that's the sauce. It is about time to flip that chicken. At this point, what I like to do is take some of this absolutely secret key ingredient, rendered chicken fat. It adds so much flavor to these vegetables. Feel free to use olive oil, but just drizzle it with some sort of oil. Let's turn these perfectly healthy vegetables completely unhealthy. Just get a good coat on everything. And now, while it has some oil on it, I'm just gonna hit these veggies with a little bit of salt. flip. I'm not putting much pressure on this top tong. I'm mainly putting the pressure inside. I'm letting it kind of carry itself. I'm just gonna come over here and roll it over. Get that sucker ready to cook face side down. Pop it back in the oven. It's been on his backside long enough. Let's do one final flip. That way that top gets really crispy. Look at the bottom of that skin. Golden brown. Have a little bit of burning on those herbs. It's not preferable, but this is the chicken butt. There is no meat there. This is just skin, so I'm not too worried about it. Oh, that skin is crunching. And for reference, let's pull a temp. We're going for the thickest part of the breast. We're at 138 degrees, just a little bit longer. And at 155, we're gonna pull it because of the holdover temp. All right, it's probably that time. Let's check our chicken. Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that skin. That is just what you want. All right, just to be sure, I'm gonna probe it. We're going for the thickest part of the breast. I'm reading 156 degrees. I went a little over. Please forgive me. And I'm also gonna get the thigh. My thigh is at 180. Perfect range for a chicken thigh, in my opinion, is 175 to 180. I think it just really peaks there. You may think that's like such a high temperature, it's definitely gonna dry out, but surprisingly, it doesn't. I'm gonna transfer this to the cutting board. So now I'm gonna pop this bad boy back in the oven. Turn the heat from 350 to 250. And we're going to let this chicken rest. Because it's such a small chicken, I'm gonna let it rest for 4 minutes because I'm hungry and I'm ready to get into this and have a great dinner. Let's get some veggies on the plate. These little pieces of garlic. They're just gonna pop right out. See that? How I just squeeze it right out of there. Throw that on the plate. Nothing like a little bit of steam roasted garlic. So now I'm gonna go ahead, get our protein on there. least, I'm gonna get all these yummy bits in with my sauce. I'm gonna remove that Bouquet Garni. Get all of those chicken drippings. Just giving this a quick stir. This is our finished product right here. And onto the chicken it goes. Some mushrooms on there. I love me some chicken thigh. So I'm gonna dive in right here. It's tender, it's juicy, perfectly seasoned. It's an amazing meal to come home, pop in the oven, and enjoy.